Hi there. It's Tom and Tom doing the podcast thing that we do a few times a week. How you doing, Tom?
Good, good. It's a wonderful new week. The world is moving really, really fast, which is part of what we're talking about today. For those mathematically inclined, I like to talk about the second derivative, which is the rate of change of the rate of change. And the rate of change of the rate of change seems to be changing really, really fast. And so
Ever increasing rate.
it's making it a really interesting world to live in right now, at least in tech.
Yeah. And two companies have made big announcements. Block, which is Jack Dorsey's company, and Meta, who we all know. And
And
they
love.
are, what's that?
And we all know and love Meta.
Well, okay, at least half of that. Uh, they are both in the midst of reorganizing, and they are reorganizing around AI. They want to become an AI forward company. And it's like anybody else throughout the history of business. If there is a new thing out there that you can use to gain an advantage, the people that jump on that first and run the experiments necessary to figure out what works and what doesn't are going to be the ones that flourish and move ahead more rapidly than those people who wait to see what will happen. And these guys are definitely running some experiments. And most of it involves decimating middle management, something that Tom and I fully embrace.
Yeah, it's more than decimating. If we go back to the Roman number, that's just eliminating 1 in 10. They're more like eliminating 9 in 10.
Yeah. Now, the one thing about that troubled me is I think it was Meta that said, I can't remember which of the two companies, one of them said that their ideal ratio is 50 direct reports to one uh, coach, I think they're going to call them now, which I love. I think calling them coaches is the right name. It's what they do.
What I don't love, even in that sentence, is direct reports. It's like old world thinking trying to apply it into a new world paradigm.
Yeah, and this is an area where I think you and I probably need to drill in because on the surface it seems like we have some differences. Like the word reporting implies that they're going to somebody and saying, "This is what I've been doing," and this is, and there could be some of that, but coaching is more about how's it going, and it's that kind of report, like how's it going for you? What kind of issues are you facing? Is everything moving smoothly? Are there skills that you feel like you need to bolster in order to get better at your job? And the kinds of personal growth inquiries that coaches in a professional setting should have.
I kind of want to first hit on some of the things that they're doing that strike me as direct advice that we put in our book. They're shifting much more to a team focus,
Yes.
right? So, how do we create teams and how do we use AI to improve how teams communicate with each other? And how do we use AI to help teams communicate with other teams? And how do we use AI to help flatten that hierarchy so that we don't have people reporting to people, reporting to people, reporting to people, as if that's meaningful or even a good structure. You know who I don't hear about trying to recreate their whole organization in the midst of AI is NVIDIA, because they already built a very fractal team-oriented structure that didn't follow the typical model.
Yeah.
It's probably why they're one of the most valuable companies on the earth today.
And Google, I think, is another organization that at least initially organized that way. I haven't really checked in the last 10 years to see what's happened as they've gotten to be the behemoth that they now are.
And of course, and I had created Menlo where none of the programmers really reported to anyone that we hired. They reported to each other. If you went in and asked them at the time, at least when I was there, who do you report to? They would look at you like it's a funny question because nobody had ever said that word out loud. And then they would point at each other. We
Yeah,
report to each other. We hold each other accountable for the work the team is doing, which I think is very much in the spirit of the book we wrote.
yeah,
The in coaching, even it's like if I was on a coaching team, I wouldn't even think that someone reports to me. There might be somebody who's in my sphere of influence who I run across, and I might spend some time with them one on one as a coach. And I might really quickly reach a point where I'm like, you know what? The other Tom is going to do better with you than I do. Mm. And I would ask you to go do the coaching with them, or we might do it together, or we might. Sometimes I brought in coaches who were on the other side of the world. I'm like, they really need Bella, and it's like the coach who was there with whatever. If you were assigned 50 people to help make sure we're coming along, if I was assigned that, I would always be looking for who else could help. Not expect that I'm the one who's going to have the insights for all 50 people.
yeah. I think that leaders in the middle, I mean, to an extent, all leaders, but especially leaders that are not senior leaders, but are frontline leadership that are working directly with individual contributors, they have ultimately three responsibilities, just three. They're big,
Uh,
but it's just three. One is to translate the vision and ensure that the people that work in their organization stay aligned. Number two is to remove obstacles. When the team gets stuck, now it may be that the obstacle is something they can remove themselves, and that kind of shifts more into coaching, which is, why do you need my help to remove this obstacle? What about this? What about that? And help them think through how they can be more autonomous. But sometimes there are obstacles that have to be removed at a higher level. Maybe there's financial barriers or something that the team can't overcome themselves. And so the leaders need to be able to do that. And the third thing that we've been talking about here is coaching. And that can be personal growth, but it can also be, again, alignment and helping the team, think through whether they're working on the right things or not.
and certainly what you and I have had experience with, which is sharing with the team new and different ceremonies and approaches that they might want to test or run experiments with to see if it helps the team be more productive. It's
Right.
like, hey, we've seen this problem that you're having be successfully addressed multiple times over 20 years by this ceremony. If you like, I'll help facilitate it for you. You can run the experiment and see if it works for you. And if it works, then great. And if it doesn't, then let's discuss what isn't working and see if there's something else that you might run an experiment on to improve whatever outcome you're trying to achieve. And that's a great use for a coach, right? Somebody who's made it their expertise to sort of pay attention to the ceremonies that are effective.
Right. But more importantly about that is, I think it's very important, if you're a leader, if you have an idea for the team, come up with two or three more that might also work. Maybe you don't love them quite as much, but if if the team is at a loss for ideas, you should first say, what ideas do you have to get to solve this problem? Make them think of the things. But if they're struggling and they need an idea, give them 2 or 3 or 4 ideas and say, here's some ideas. What about one of these? Now, you may have a favorite. And if your favorite is the best one, it'll rise to the top all by itself. It's tempting to tell the team what to do. And because of your authority as the senior person, they might be inclined to just say, well, the boss says we're going to do it this way. That's not what you said. You said, here's an idea you might want to consider. But that's not what they hear.
It's there's going to be a need for a lot of that this coming year, right? Because the change is coming so fast that there's just no way the boss is going to have the right idea. You're going to need everyone on the team paying more attention, each exploring the world of technology as it's emerging, each coming together and sharing ideas and insights and running experiments. There's just no way anymore that any one person at the top is going to be on top of so much massive change so quickly.
Yeah.
That really calling up all your troops and creating ceremonies to get their ideas out, to get them exploring, to get them discovering, to get them running experiments. That is how you're going to ride this crazy tsunami of a wave we have flowing over the world because of AI this year.
And here's the great paradox of that, Tom. We have a time of massive upheaval in the business world. We can see it. It may not have hit fully yet, but it's coming, and it's hitting some people already. And the paradox is this: you need people who are fearless during times of great change. You need people who are willing to take chances. And when you start laying off half your workforce in one fell swoop, or whatever the numbers are going to be,
just created panic through the whole
right,
organization.
everybody else is going to want to keep their head down and their nose clean. And that's not what you need right now. So you got to figure out how to let a bunch of people go and tell the people that are staying, don't worry.
Yeah. Good luck with that message.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like Meta and you have the money to keep everybody employed if you so choose, and you never probably did the experiment of really challenging the organization to discover for themselves new ways of working. Instead, you are making decisions from on high. We're going to cut headcount by this percentage. I get when you need to do that because you're running out of money and you literally have to do that. Man, if you don't, it's like give the organization the chance maybe to adjust and adapt to the time and maybe discover a new area of business that you haven't discovered. And then if they fail at that, then it's like, well, you had your chance, you ran your experiments, you looked for new ways to make money or to make a profit or to make a new business, and it's not working. Therefore, like we're lopping that arm off.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you can, man, give people a chance to explore this new time and to come up with ways to make their piece of the business profitable. Missing that opportunity is a little sad, but I do understand it. I believe Meta way overhired, but you know me, I think every IT department way overhired
Right.
because they didn't know how to develop software.
And one of the ways I think you can cut down the number of people without causing mass chaos is to raise the performance bar. That's what a lot of companies seem to be doing now. It's just saying, look, AI has changed the stakes. Like you have to be, if you want to be valuable here, you have to step up your performance, and that's not just output. That's outcome based.
Yeah. When I'm looking at the techs, because when I look at the tech companies and Meta did massive hiring during COVID and massive growth that was probably basically unwarranted always. At least from my point of view, always unwarranted. And I think AI is also the excuse and the opportunity to go back and realize you way overhired and you way overgrew for what you were trying to do. You weren't really thinking about it. You didn't really understand the process of developing software well,
Yeah.
and and so now you're correcting.
But you
But
want to
you sent
keep
me
the
a note,
best people.
yeah, and we don't even know what best is going to mean in like I literally, it's always the challenge, even when we did the types of transformations I used to do 25 years ago. Sometimes the people who did not work well in the type of environment you and I recommend and suggest, which is very team oriented environments held together by ceremony, aligned with mission, vision, and values. A lot of times, the people who they previously called best were the ones who couldn't work that way.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point.
So
The
it's
other
best for the context.
the other thing that I fear is going to be common here is that every organization of any size is going to want to have somebody who's responsible for deploying AI throughout the organization in smart ways. And the obvious choice is going to seem to be that somebody in IT. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Yeah, I don't know what kind of person you want for that, honestly. I think that's such a new role that we don't have people out there with years of experience doing this. So you're going to have to find somebody that has an aptitude for it. And if all you do is look in the IT department for them, you might miss some better candidates somewhere else in the organization.
I could I could probably spot them if they're in the IT department. I'd go to the conference room where there's already 1,000 people in the room from IT, and I'd like, who started running OpenClaw in January? And like those hands, it's like, all right, I want to meet the three of you.
Right. It is an indication, I guess.
Because for whatever reason, you're riding the lunatic fringe edge. Who gave OpenClaw in January access to all your emails for home
Right.
use, right? Hand goes up. You're coming with me because you're insane. And I think for this time, we need insanity. That's just a brainstorming thought on how I might look for that type of
You
person.
know, I think that that's a great final note for this issue of the Tom and Tom show is that this is a great time for insanity. Find it, exploit it, embrace it.
You'll recognize it because since January, they've become 50 times more productive, but they maybe haven't admitted it.
Right? Because they're doing a lot of catching up on some reading while they're doing it. Well, here we go. Another episode of the Tom and Tom Intentional Culture Show has concluded. And if your organization is going through massive upheaval, we would love for you to make a little comment down there and tell us what's going on so we can track you. And don't forget, please, to hit the subscribe button. It's right down there. It's easy to find, and we really need you to click it because too many of you are not clicking it. You're hearing my voice right now and saying, ah.
I'm never going to listen to this Tom again. That
Not,
other Tom was good. And which
yeah,
is which, we don't know.
that's a good point. And as always, we would love to chat with you. We're easy to find. We're at beintentional.biz, and we will be talking to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.